Hey everyone, welcome back to Dungeon Brew. So, you want to make your D&D games a little bit darker, not just more grim and gory, but truly unsettling, truly intense. Well, I know that most game masters will reach for more undead, or they're going to describe some gruesome scenes, and while those do have their place, I want to hit on something that's going to be deeper and hit on a psychological note. So, today we're going to be diving into 3 distinct, powerful ways to inject genuine darkness into your D&D world. The methods are meant to challenge the players, not just with combat, but with their minds, their morals, and the very fabric of their existence. These are going to be about consequences, it's about difficult choices, and it's about having the slow creep of dread. So let's forget about jump scares. Let's talk about how we make your players question what's real and what's happening to their characters internally. So instead of just rolling for maybe a frightened condition like we would typically do, we want to describe how the world itself seems to be betraying their senses. So imagine this, you have a player that hears a faint whisper from an empty room, but when they investigate, their party members hear nothing. Or maybe they keep seeing a fleeting shadow out of the peripheral and it's just a flicker, but when they go to check it out, it vanishes, and it's not a ghost. You're actually having it be their own internal psychological doubts. You can escalate this by maybe after a traumatic event, you have a character that keeps waking up from a long rest, feeling more exhausted, or with a new unsettling memory that no one else seems to share. I like that idea of like putting layers of exhaustion on characters that are dealing with distress and traumatic events. They can question whether or not it's a dream or if something is actually happening to them while they are sleeping. And the real punch comes when you start subtly turning the party against each other. What if one character is insisting that they saw something horrific, but another character has this clean, conflicting memory? Or what happens when you have a trusted NPC that is communicating with one character, subtly planting these seeds of paranoia about the others, and when they're confronted, they act like they don't know what the other person is talking about. It's not just about making things scary, it's about making the mind one of the most dangerous places, and you're breeding paranoia and breaking down trust from the inside out within the game. Number 2, the thing I want to talk about, which I've mentioned before in previous videos, is making evil necessary. It's not just simple good and evil, it's about forcing your players to engage in choices where every single option leaves a moral scar for them. So the darkness isn't really necessarily even a villain, it's the terrible thing that the heroes have to do to achieve this greater perceived good in order to possibly even just survive. So you could consider maybe a cursed village where there's one way to save the dying children. You have to perform this ritual that demands a morally abhorrent sacrifice. Maybe the life force has to be from a genuinely innocent creature, or maybe there has to be some sort of binding pact with a truly malevolent enemy that will demand payment later on. And your players have to save those children, so they have to essentially put their own moral compass in jeopardy, or maybe even a piece of their soul, in order to find a way forward. So there's no real clear, clean path. Another angle is to present them with conflict where both sides are abhorrent, but one is clearly worse. So maybe they have to ally with this ruthless, tyrannical warlord who is committing atrocities against their enemies, but that warlord is the only force that is capable enough or strong enough to go against this greater, even more dangerous, more evil, world-ending threat. And so the players, they have to save the world, but they have to do it by essentially aligning with this evil guy. And they may win, and now they have to deal with them being complicit of working with this individual and what necessary evils they had to embrace, which blurred the lines of heroism for them, and they may have to wonder, are they really even the good guys at all because of what they've done? And my third tip to make the world feel genuinely more dangerous and grim is to bake darkness directly into the game mechanics. Here's a few ways that I like to do that. Number 1, reduce the player's durability. A classic method of doing this is to lower their hit points. So instead of using HP at each level or taking the average, consider giving them only half of their average HP, or even just allowing them to gain HP every other level. This makes every single hit really matter. Every combat encounter becomes really a perilous gamble, and the characters will feel fragile and vulnerable and like they're always on the brink of being destroyed. Second, cripple their recovery. Long rests shouldn't be a magical reset button in a dark fantasy world. So maybe their long rests only restore half of their HP and spell slots, and maybe it takes a full 24 hours of undisturbed rest, which is very rare within a dark fantasy world, that it is almost impossible to get back up to your full HP unless you are in a town, in a tavern, and hiding away. Maybe that time that passes causes other consequences within the world. Maybe their short rests also become limited to only once per day. This makes resource management a constant, agonizing choice, and every spell slot becomes that much more imperative to decide when to use it and when not to use it. And third, embrace lingering injuries and permanent scars. Use tables if you have them. We have our own resource on our Patreon that you can utilize for lingering injuries and insanity checks that you could apply to your players, so that if they take a critical hit or they drop to 0, you're able to apply this to the player. You might just forego death saving throws overall and have injuries or insanity checks be part of the process when you take a really big hit or again drop down to 0. And this can make players even fear combat a little bit, not just death itself, because these might carry with them throughout the game, and maybe they aren't all curable through a magical means. So that's what I have for you to make your games a little bit darker. These methods all require you to be careful in the way that you implement them. They all require you to sit down with your players and have a conversation, maybe in your session 0 before putting them out there, but they can definitely make the game feel a little bit more impactful. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Please hit that like and subscribe button and the bell, and go check out our Patreon, where we have resources for game masters like you.
Dungeon